Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling. As we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where it's raining on Fawnhollow. It's not raining in real life. It's going to be, I mean, it's, again, you know, I don't know why I'm just sort of becoming a weather woman and sort of informing you what weather is like where I live. It seems to probably have no relevance to you, but, you know, it's mildly warm. Apparently it's going to get incredibly hot next week in UK, which is not something to look forward to. It's going to hit about 40 degrees Celsius, or up to 40 degrees Celsius, which is, you know, insane. I remember when it first hit like around 30 degrees Celsius when I was much younger, and I was like, oh, even that's like super hot, and now it's going to hit 40. So that's not something to look forward to, but you know, I suppose I'll update you then on Monday and Tuesday how that's going. Hello everyone, right now in Fawnhallow, it's 2:31 PM on Friday, July 15th, 2022. You know, I suppose I got it quite not stuck in my head, but like I mean, it is quite a hot temperature, 40 degrees Celsius. But it's something I think about being very hot is because also, for some reason, again, it adds to the list of random things, which Dear Darling randomly remembers from my childhood for really no apparent reason, is, obviously, if you, hold on, not obviously, I haven't even said what I was saying yet, why would it be obvious? Top Trumps. If you don't know what Top Trumps are, it's basically sort of like a playground game, card game, which you... well, at least I played as a child, and basically every single deck, or Top Trump decks, have a certain theme, like it might be animals, dinosaurs, cars, etc, etc, etc. And basically what a Top Trump deck is basically like 40 or so of those cards, and there's like 5 or 6 different statistics for each of the cards, and then, what was that one? I don't know, my subconscious brain said that was Lily, despite the fact I didn't pay attention to it, so, you know, I'm going to just deliver it to Lily anyway. Who was that? That was Phoebe. And Top Trumps is like, each of a card has statistics to do with it. So like for animals, it might be like height, weight. And I'm trying to think about it. They're always numerical statistics. And basically you play the game by playing it with one or more people. And then you basically, oh hello Lily, say you'll ask them like about one of the statistics. So like with the animal one, you'll be like height. And then whoever's got the tallest, or the largest animal, I suppose, wins. Oh, Phoebe. Oh. my subconscious brain, it turns out you were wrong. Let's actually investigate what it says. But with pressed flowers inside, oh, it still has a price sticker on it. I'm struggling to think why that would necessarily be Phoebe's. I guess the insinuation is that she bought it as a gift for someone? Which, I mean, like... that's very nice of Phoebe, don't get me wrong, of course, but it doesn't really point to me that it would be her book, especially. Is it insinuating she stole it? I don't understand it. What? I'm so confused about this one. I don't think I've ever seen that lost item description before. Nor do I really understand why that's insinuated to be hers. Anyway, so the Top Trumps things, everyone's got like a different statistic, and when you say a different statistic, and whoever's got the highest or lowest or whatever is relevant for that category wins. But one of them I don't know is that it's like special like landmarks around the world. I know. I just remember Death Valley in America is one of them, and like one of the statistics is highest temperature, and that one had 40 degrees Celsius as being the highest temperature or something, and that was the highest one of the entire Top Trumps pack or something. And you know, that's always stuck in my mind as being something, but like, oh man, 40 degrees Celsius, can't even imagine how unimaginably hot that is. And you know, soon it's going to be very much a reality, you know, not all but a decade and a half later or so. Scary thought, that, ain't it? Anyway, we're not going to talk about Top Trumps because I think I've talked about Top Trumps before. Pressed flowers though, into a book. I'm actually like quite surprised actually. Not like surprised that's Phoebe's, but I'm more like surprised that Nintendo programmed it to be a description for a Sisterly Villager's book. Because the other Sisterly Villager book description is something like, is like scrawlings, right? And it looks like you know, it's got like a load of doodles and graffiti in it or something, right? Or maybe I'm making that up. do you think Wikipedia's got a section on that? You know, if Wikipedia's got everything, it's probably got a section about like all the little like tags or something. No, Nookpedia? Nookpedia lost item. Well, it's certainly got an article on it, so we'll see if it's got all the descriptions in here. New Horizons. No, it's just got pictures of the... oh, here we go. New Horizons. Big Sister. A book with pressed flowers in it. Oh, it still has a price sticker on it. You know, like, I don't mean to be like I'm judgmental of like what Phoebe's hobbies are or something, but I'm just surprised that would be what they choose to be like stereotypical for it. Like, because the the bag one is like, it's a bag of like spikes and stuff like poking out of it, right? Isn't it? What is that? Lily or value plant. Okay, fair enough. And the other one is bikers are more fun. Somebody's notebook. The handwriting is most legible, but it's banned. Yeah, like all the things are to do with like punk stuff and band stuff. And this one's pressed flowers with a price tag on it. Oh wait, these are all like cranky. Is a lot of pictures of potted trees inside. It looks like an introductory guide to bonsai trees. Okay, so these are all the book ones are actually quite abstract. Well, the jock one's quite obvious. The lazy one's quite obvious as well. Okay, the normal one feels quite reasonable. The puppy one feels plausible. The smug one feels about right. Let's see. Why is the big sister one so different, like, to the usual personality of it? Is this like a stereotype thing I'm not aware of? Like, a book with pressed flowers inside, oh, it still has a price sticker on it. Would be big sister? Like, do they have much interest in pressed flowers? Like, the only thing I can think of is the insinuation that because they left a price sticker on it, that's, you know, so rebellious of them. That makes no sense to me. But whatever. Well, I suppose now I know. And also now I know that the bonsai trees is the cranky one. I guess that's because it's meant to be quite an old-fashioned sort of art form. Or bonsai tree. It's not that old-fashioned. I mean, I guess there's probably more old-fashioned in Japan than it is. Oh, maybe it's a Japanese thing. I don't know. Is anyone else talking about this? Lost item. Big sister pressed flowers. I don't think anyone is going to be talking about this, but am I the only one who is confused about this one? Let's see. Someone's talking about it on Reddit. We're trying to have an item description database. Creators is talking about liking flowers and bicycles. Bicycles? What? I'm just bewildered at this. Lost eyes and gain. What was this? I don't know. I think that's just literally something that's gone over my head for no bad reason. Sorry, I spent like the first 10 minutes of this episode just sort of like silently reading a Wikipedia article. Like, you know, so not too usual, not too different from usual Dear Darling episodes, I suppose. Hello, Vivian. But yeah, anyway, pressed flowers in book. I suppose it's a bit of an old-fashioned thing. I don't know anyone who's done like pressed flowers in books for ages. It feels like something you see in like an early sort of 2000s like Disney-esque movie or something. Well, maybe not Disney-esque movie, but Disney Channel movie or something. You know, like a teenage rom-com or something. I don't know. At least that's the sort of vibes I get, because I don't think I've ever met anyone who's done any flower pressing of a sort. I'm trying to think if we've done anything like that similar in school. I don't think I have. The thing I can think, which is the closest, is we did this thing back in primary school, basically like not quite leaf pressing, but like leaf impressing, if anything. And I don't mean like showing off to a leaf, but more like you put a piece of paper like on a leaf, and you get like a crayon without the wrapper on it, and then you put it like sideways on, like flush against the paper and like sort of rub back and forth. Or you could do it with like charcoal as well, I suppose, but we did it with crayons because, I don't know, we were like 5. And then when you do that and you lift it up again, you get like the impression of a leaf on a piece of paper. And I remember doing that in nursery. Or maybe we did it with paint. Wait, I might be getting confused. No, I think we did that crayon thing with trees. I think we like, well, yeah, okay, that was it. That's the thing we did with trees. I remember we went to like a woodland park, and we had like a school trip there, and we had to do a load of different things with trees. I actually remember this one because we were all given like a 4-page booklet, you know, like, which is really just 2 pieces of A4 paper stacked together. But we were given a booklet, and we had all these activities to do. And I remember this trip because I remember, for whatever reason, my booklet didn't have the middle pages. So I had to ask the teacher, being like, hey, I don't have any middle pages in my booklet. And then she just, you know, luckily had a spare and gave me the middle pages out of that one. I don't know why I remember that. I just do. But anyway, I remember one of the pages, you know, and then the thing they taught us to do is like everyone grab a crayon, like hold the little booklet up to, it's a very thin booklet, so it's why it's worked, and you hold it up to the tree bark, and you run your sort of crayons on top of it. It might have actually been coloured pencils. I think I'm getting multiple things confused here. Multiple memories are sort of like intertwining in my mind or something like that. But you do that and you get like the impression of a bark on the paper, which is exciting, I guess. I remember another thing is we had to find out the circumference of a tree, like measure it with like tape measure or something. I forgot what I was going with this. And I feel like I remember the teacher asking me if I knew what circumference was, and I was like, I know it's something to do with circles. Maybe is it the distance like across it? But I was like, no, that's diameter. And I remember this other girl answered the question. She answered what the circumference was, and I was like, damn, she knows what a circumference is. That's pretty smart, right there. I don't know why I remember that. But if I ever forget what circumference is, and that's what I can remember now, I suppose. You might ask, how old were we? I don't remember. I think I was like 6 or 7 or something. I remember we also had to measure the height. Oh yeah, that must have been when we started learning about angles or something. Maybe that was our intro to trigonometry. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because we had this thing which I don't know how to describe it. Imagine like a plastic gun sort of shape, you know, like a water gun sort of thing. But instead of obviously being a gun, it's not a gun. It's just like a handle, like a right-angled handle. It's got this giant white wheel, I suppose, in the middle thing. So kind of like, you know, what are those things, like the ticker tape things, which, you know, you put labels down. We've got like the giant wheel in the middle, but that wheel can spin around freely in the gun's sort of like barrel, I guess, and it's got a weight at it, a heavy weight concentrated at one point. So basically the idea is you can measure angles with this sort of thing. You sort of like aim a gun at something, you press the trigger, and then you let go of the trigger once the weight stopped moving, and then once the weight stopped moving, you can see where, because when you let go of the trigger, it sort of like holds the wheel in position. You can see what angle you are holding your arm up at. I don't know what they're called. Hold on. Let's see if it's got a name. Let's see. Angle measuring tool gun? It's not really a gun, but... Ah, here we go. A clinometer. That is literally how I remember it. This blue and white thing. Oh, look, there's like 2 different variations of a clinometer. But anyway, we had like this gun version. It's a bit fancier than I remember, actually. I don't remember there being all these all these measurements on it, but maybe our one was quite sort of faded away and quite old. But yeah, we used a clinometer, and I remember we pointed it at the top of a tree or whatever, and we basically had to find out the height of a tree. But obviously we don't know trigonometry at that age. We're like 6 or something, so maybe we can learn trigonometry at that age. But I remember the way we did it is we had to basically walk back and forth, pointing at the top of a tree until we got 45 degrees, and then when you get 45 degrees, of course, you got an isosceles triangle. So the distance from you to the base of a tree is a reasonable estimation for the distance from the base of a tree, the height. And you might be like, why do you say a reasonable estimation rather than, you know, an exact thing? Well, it was a reasonable estimation because, you know, the ground's uneven, that sort of thing. Kids aren't exactly going to properly point at the top of a tree the entire way, etc, etc, etc. There was a load of different variables in there, but theoretically, if you did it perfectly in like flatland, I suppose, you'd be able to actually properly record the height of a tree without ever having to climb it. Ain't that brilliant? You know, and I think it is kind of brilliant when, you know, when you're at that age, you discover it for the first time, you're like, oh, you know, that's a pretty clever way to do things. And then you discover trigonometry, you're like, whoa, you can do it from any angle. You don't have to do it at just 45 degrees. There's maths which allows you to do it whenever you are. Well, not wherever, I suppose, but more or less. But anyway, I forgot what I was going to say about all of this. I don't know what I was going to say about all of this. I do remember one of the girl in our group, I remember, who operated the chronometer. I don't know why I remember. For some reason, in my memory, something had happened which upset her earlier that day. I have no idea what exactly happened or whatever. Maybe she was just having a bad day for whatever reason. So the teacher gave it to her, and then we all like supported her as she used it, and she had a fun time using it. And because, you know, when you're a kid, it's always fun to basically feel like you're sort of like leader of a captain or doing something, the most important thing. So, you know, whenever, as I guess, teachers had to be kind of careful about, you know, giving out like the instruments to whoever in the team, because then they're gonna, you know, kids are, you know, maybe I'll let it get to bed. No, that's not what I mean. But you know that sort of feeling when you're a kid. You'd be like, oh yeah, I've got the meter ruler stick. I'm the most important right now in this group. You know that sort of feel. I'm not talking about like, you know, preteens or anything. I like to remind you. I think we were 5 and 6 around that sort of age. Is that right? Is that right age? I'm not sure. It might have been like 7 or 8. Somewhere within 5 to 8 sort of range. you know that mood, you know that sort of feel. Anyway, I don't know why I remember that. Clinometer. Clinometer probably makes more sense now I think about it, because it's meant to measure inclines, right? Anyway, you can make your own apparently handmade one if you have a straw protractor. a plumb line. Oh, a plumb line. I remember that. That's something that's still using that we still use in A-level physics. You know, you're meant to use a plumb line to make sure things are like aligned straight or something. Because there's a module in our physics to make sure that you basically do experiments properly, and that was the thing you had to use. It's like it was one of the things. Be like, how can you make sure this thing is straight? It's like, oh, you can use a plumb line to make sure it's vertically aligned or perpendicular from the ground or something like that. And I don't recall off the top of my head all that well, but it's along those sort of lines. If you get me, you feel me, you understand me. But no, the other memory I was thinking of, this is something which I think was in nursery or year 1 or so. So this would make that would be 4 or 5ish, I think. Well, if it was nursery, it'd be 3 or 4, I think. Maybe even younger. But that was a thing where we got leaves and we made like stamps sort of out of leaves. You get leaf, you get some poster paints, you know, paint it on top of leaf. You only use poster paints because those are, I guess, the only paints which children are... I was going to say licensed to use. It's not really a word you use, but like, it's fine because it's like non-toxic or something. Actually, no, I think about it, I just have this another memory of in nursery. I don't know what happened to this girl, but we had poster paints and we actually had watercolours now I think about it as well. Kind of watercolours. It was the things where like they come in blocks. I'm actually not sure if they're watercolours, but still. They come in like those 4x2 pallets of like round discs or something, where the actual disc itself is sort of like this weird powdery, I don't know, like a tablet or something, and you like wet your brush and you like rub it on there. That's how you paint with it. They were terrible, by the way, compared to poster paints. I must be honest. But I remember one girl, this girl used to like lick the paints, and then I remember like I think I had like it's so typical me, but like I had like a reading session with like, I can't remember. Oh man, I have so many stories. This is coming back to me from nursery days, and nursery is like kindergarten, I suppose, in the UK. Basically the same thing. And I remember came out of like this private reading session, which we'll get onto for a second. And there was that girl there. I'm not going to say her name, obviously. No idea what happened to her because I think she left after nursery. I don't think she actually went to the same primary school afterwards, which is, you know, wild. But the teacher was basically trying to like talk to her, being like, "Yo, you don't eat paint," essentially. And she was just like, because I remember her tongue was just completely blue because she kept like licking the paints or something. And I'm sure, you know, that there might actually be like quite a sad story or something behind it, but you know, from my 3-year-old perspective, I didn't really know what to make of it. And I remember the teacher just like, you know, tapping on paint and, you know, pretending to lick her finger, being like, "Does that taste tasty to you? You know, it's pretty bad, isn't it?" And then she goes, "No, it's very tasty," or something like that. And I don't know, that stuck in my memory. So, you know, if that sounds like something you did, you know, back in whenever I was back in nurseries, and you live in more or less the same area I used to live in when I was younger, then what happened to you, you know? Are you doing alright? I can't imagine you still eat paint. And what was that all about anyway? I don't know, because she had a reputation for being quite a troublemaker in our class, is all I really recall. Whether there was motivations behind it or not, and I don't really know, you know, what was going on with her life, so I'm going to, you know, try and refrain from judging her in any sort of way. But that memory sticks in my mind for really no apparent reason. Just because of how blue her tongue was. I don't know how we got onto this on like leaf impressions or something. I should find out what it's called. Is it called like tree bark impressions or something? Tree bark paper impression? Tree bark paper? Is this what tree bark wood impression mats? Apparently that's a thing. I don't know what that is, but it looks pretty cool. Yeah, I don't remember. It was just I think we did. Oh yeah, but the reading class lessons. I mean, there wasn't really much to say. It was just like a nursery. I started reading, and then apparently, you know, there's a thing in the UK, at least curriculum. I don't know if it's still about, but there's basically like sort of stages and levels of reading. And then in nursery, you're meant to start with like the lowest one. But then like I started reading. Because I think it was like a thing where they paired up year 6 students with nursery students. Because I feel like I remember doing that as well in, oh maybe it wasn't year 6, maybe it was year 3 or year 2. Because I remember doing that as well when I was in year 2, doing a nursery student, and I brought in like this big old like pop-up like pop-up book which had like all these levers and stuff which you can pull and push, and it'd do fun things around like a haunted house or something. I don't really remember. I think it might have been a magic key book or something. I think about it. Anyway, I remember I brought that in to read to nursery students. But I think it was that sort of thing, and I remember like doing that, and then afterwards having like the teacher even talked to my parents and talked to me or something, being like, "Wow, you're very good at reading" or something. And then apparently they talked to my parents later, being like, "Oh, you know, she's actually pretty good at reading. She should probably be." Is it okay if we like do a high level like reading or something with her. So I like skipped out like the first 2 stages of like reading comprehension or something like that. I don't know why I remember this, nor if it's that relevant. It's also probably the worst humble brag in existence. But I just remember it because I remember like being upset at the time that I wasn't allowed to read the same books my other friends are reading. It's such a strange story, I think, looking back on it. Because I remember the first stage was like red books, and I was like, why am I the only one who's got like a lime green book? It's not fair. Oh, I just got another memory. Oh my god, all these memories are coming back to me from my nursery school days. I don't know why on earth now of all times, but there was another time in reception, which is kind of like the in-between of kindergarten to primary school. So in between of kindergarten to elementary school in UK terms. It might be the closer equivalent of kindergarten, to be honest. Like nursery is kind of like pre-kindergarten. That's probably how I describe it. But in kindergarten, we were doing like reading classes with one of my classmates' mothers, because some of the classmates' mothers would help volunteer their time to run these sort of reading classes or do these other sort of extracurricular things. They were sort of like teachers' aides, but like rather than being there like every single day, they were like there once a week or something to basically do some reading. And I remember it was a monumental occasion that day because I was reading out, and by that time obviously I had a reputation for being kind of smart or whatever, you know, and I was a bit of a smart aleck certainly in those days. But I remember reading and then getting to a word. I don't remember what the word was off the top of my head. I feel like it starts with C. I don't know why I remember that. I think it was like contemplate or something like that along those lines, but I remember I got to it and I didn't know what the word was. So I read it. I remember then I immediately asked the mother, being like, what does this word mean? And then it was sort of just like a, whoa, situation. Dear darling doesn't know what this word is. No, which at the time I was like, this is mortifying. This is the worst thing that could possibly happen, you know. I don't know what a word was. But now I look back on it and be like, wow, you know, that was just a very amusing situation which happened. Obviously, it's like not the biggest deal at all. But you know how it is when you're in primary school, that sort of thing. You know, it's like, whoa, it's a crazy thing. The smart kid doesn't know what this word is. It's like, that's unbelievable. Anyway, I think it started with C. That's all I remember. If it didn't start with C, it has a C sound in it. Have we found whoever the recipe person was? I don't know. I feel like we visited all our villages, but anyways. I don't know why I'm going back to all these nursery school activities. I suppose, should we like continue with a nursery school sort of like anecdotes? Oh, we haven't found who our crafter was. It was Fawn all along. I don't know, what other nursery school like sort of stories can I remember? This isn't nursery school, but it was like year 2 or something. I have a memory of wanting to read this book about Greek mythology, this comic thing about Greek mythology, and then also being told that I shouldn't read it because it had like pictures in, you know, I was too old to read it at that point or something. I don't remember, but I read it anyway during my free time, and because it was meant to be, you're meant to pick a book from a library to read for your like reading projects. Like we had like a weekly reading thing where you're meant to write in like a little diary about what you read about in that book, etc., and what you learned from it. Not really what you learned, just, you know, come on, we're like 5. It was just more like what you read in that book and what it was about. And I remember I wanted to choose that book, and then like the teacher was like, you should probably choose a different book. That book's sort of beneath your level. You know, it's kind of, I'm paraphrasing. She didn't quite put it in those words. She probably said it much more eloquently than I did. And I was like, oh, okay. But then I remember really wanting to read it, so I read it anyway. Like, I remember I would finish my schoolwork like as quickly as possible and be like, teacher, I'm done. Can I go read a book from the library? And she was like, all right then. And then I started reading that book instead. And I remember I wanted to read it. Again, like, I suppose this just shows how much of like social influence, social standings, I suppose, had of influence on me when I was slightly younger. It's because other classmates were allowed to read that book and I wasn't, and I was, you know, I was sort of upset by it. And I remember I read it and like I really enjoyed it. But the thing I remember about it was obviously it's all got all these sort of Greek myths in from like you know, there was like Hercules. I can't really remember any other ones off the top of my head. The only one I can remember is Hercules, and the one about Medusa and Perseus. And I remember the Perseus one like really scared me because like the idea of Gorgons and Medusa like super scared me for like you. Like I would say that would be like the thing I was most scared of as a child. It wasn't like the dark. It wasn't like ghosts or zombies or anything. It was Medusa and Gorgons for some reason. Just the idea that I would look at them and turn to stone. So you can imagine how much I was quite worried, you know, quite nervous and scared of that Doctor Who episodes with the Weeping Angels, which obviously now is a bit comical. If anything, I'm going to say the Weeping Angels are really not that bad a fate to happen to you if they happen. Because they don't kill you if you don't know what happened to weeping angels. What they do is they send you back in time so that you would die basically roughly on the day that they touched you. You're not really dying. You're just sort of like living your life in the past retroactively. Really, not that bad. Really, not that bad an outcome. Well, depending, I suppose, on who you are. Like, I don't know, maybe if you need a present day to survive, and it would be quite bad. But you know what I mean. It's like, out of all the things which could happen to you, and like in complete, you know, universe, I suppose, or even beyond the universe. Not bad. Let's see if I can find that book. Hold on. Children's picture book, Greek mythology. Oh, but there was also the one about the guy who can't look back. I forgot his name. Persephone, is that right? Or is this it? Greek myths for young children. That's it. Oh, and Arachne. Arachne was in that book as well. Hold on. Okay. Greek myths for young children. Marcia Williams. I'm pretty sure this is it. This looks exactly right now. I'm looking at it. Scholastic book fair. What was this one? Zeus punished mankind. He ordered gods to create a beautiful woman. This must be the Medusa story, isn't it? Oh yeah, there's Pandora's box one as well. I remember Pandora's one. Oh man, this is all coming back to me. Do you think someone's uploaded this online somewhere? A rhino with dolphins? I don't remember that one. Oh no, this is the one where he was meant to come back with like a black mask or a white mask to show to his father that he succeeded or he didn't. And then he forgot to change out the mask to show that he succeeded when he came back to his father, like, jumped off a cliff or something. And, you know, it's a bit dark, but that's all I recall. Oh, man. All of these pages are exactly how I remember them. That's crazy. I don't know. Apparently this book had quite an impression on me when I was younger. I guess this entire thing's about impressions, despite the fact I'm not really going to talk about impressions. Oh yeah, in Pandora's box when it opens, and then she opens the last one again because like she lets hope back into the world or something. Oh, here's the Medusa one. I gotta say, the Gorgon's head is actually quite like hauntingly drawn, I suppose. So I don't blame myself for getting sort of nightmares from it when I was younger. Oh, wild. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. I guess these are just like stories from Nursery. Is that what I'm going to title this episode? Can I think of another one? Another story? Can I think of another 2-minute story before we just round this episode off? Not really. I'm going to round off this episode here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join my Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.